Hey everyone, Brandflex here, back with another and probably my last Shadowverse 2 video for the set. If you're here to hate watch, please make it at least interesting or something that's not just herder mad because card game RNG. I already went through that in the last video, and it's honestly not that interesting to think about because yes, card games are RNG based, but card games that feel fun to play have at least some variance or replayability in RNG. And what I'll be talking about in a lot of this video is how this game feels like it does not have that. So this will be mostly a Take-Two complaint, but I'll get the constructed complaint out of the way now. If you guys didn't watch my previous video on this channel about how the game has evolved into tempo meta, go right ahead. Um, the game's not very fun for me playing that. And the issue with Take-Two for me is that it's literally the exact same thing, except it feels worse because your luck is even more exemplified and even more, I guess, like on display in Take-Two. Because in normal constructed and normal drafts, you can be mad because you didn't draw your good cards. And you know you have good cards because your deck should be full of good cards because you constructed it and you made it consistent. In Take-Two, not only are you working with the knowledge that you don't have a good deck or you couldn't draft a good deck, you're also working with the knowledge that your opponent should have been in the same boat. But if you're getting unlucky and your opponent is getting somewhat lucky, it'll feel like they just rail you and you have no chance in the matter. So in something like Constructed, or in the normal game mode ranked, I can almost barely slightly cope with a bad draw versus good draw because in those scenarios it's like, oh, if I play enough games it'll even out eventually because my bad draws will eventually become good draws and my opponents will eventually also draw bad. But in something like Take-Two, what ends up happening is that if you draw a bad deck, or if you draft a bad deck, it doesn't matter how well you draw, because if your opponent drafted a good deck and draws mediocrely, because of how poorly balanced this game is, you will just lose. So I know it's like very like nebulous to be like, oh, high roll, low roll, high roll, good draw, bad draw, blah blah blah. Just bear with me. It just feels bad. That's all I'm saying. Like let's just for example, like let's take the most notorious one right now. So Sword. If you've been playing Take-Two, you will notice very, very quickly how much better and how much worse it feels to play Sword when you manage to draw Gildaria, Albert, and Urias, and Amelia. These four legendaries massively improve your game quality as Sword because they're so unbelievably broken if you draw one or two of them. Like Urias will just straight up win you games on the spot automatically. Gildaria is just Gildaria. She's super broken. Albert obviously is a 12 damage closer if you manage to draw him. So even with Sword alone, you have a lot of other cards. Like if you go through like you would rather always have Flash Stack Quick Blader versus Luminous Commander. You'd always have Royal Luminous Lance Trooper over Luminous Commander. Like you have like all the silvers, you would rather have certain silvers, you have certain golds, blah blah blah. And as you play Take-Two, you will notice like it's even more obnoxious how important it is to have your good cards on curve than your bad cards. I played a few games with Portal where I went into Portal Mirrors and I would lose just because they would draw a good card one turn earlier. And then the tempo loss I would gain, or the tempo loss from that turn order difference would spiral the game out of control into my loss because I simply didn't draft the card I needed. Or if I did draft the card, I didn't draw it. But essentially, I lost the game because they drew their good card first. And then my good card came 5 turns later when it was too late, and that feels terrible. Like it feels like the game in Constructed was already about drawing your good cards on the proper timing. And then Take-Two is also about drawing your good cards on the proper timing, but now you have to have the privilege of having those good cards to begin with. And that means if you're playing the game and you don't get good cards and your opponent has good cards, it feels bad. If you have good cards but you don't draw them, it feels bad. And that just kind of feels like the experience of Take-Two I had over and over and over again. And if you watch my stream or the VOD, there are a lot of misplays I had. I have no comeback for that. Like I am not a good Take-Two player yet. However, I don't want to play Take-Two because Take-Two actively guzzles the living shit out of all of your resources possible in this game because it costs 1,000 rupees to play. So let's just say that in one set, like let's just high roll. Like if you manage to get 20,000 rupees over one set, That means you only have like 40 games of Take Two if you can only maintain a 50% win rate. Isn't that insane? Like, I'm high rolling the rupee income because I know that from last set. Like, I started saving. I barely drew any cards. Like, let's just go through my card pool really fast. You can tell how much I've drawn my cards because of the oh, I didn't draw my thing here, so let me just get that out of the way. Like it's super expensive to play the game, right? So let's just go ahead and go over the pulls I've done on Infinity Beyond so far. So this is obviously just this is just within the available cards you got. So like it's a little over. So like you get card packs. I have 7 card packs right now, so I can boost this more. So this isn't purely the rupee number, but just off the numbers, I have my lucky chest in 180 packs. So I've pulled 70 times on this. So it costs 500 rupees to pull 1 pack. So I've used 35,000 rupees at an insanely extreme, absurd high roll because most of my pulls are going to be from packs, right? So let's say that a third of them are pack pulls, which I think is still extreme high roll. So now that I missed two weeks, so this is more like a week of a set gameplay. So gauging off of my income, my pulls from my last set, I spent 23,000 rupees saved up from last set. So let's say that at most, like let's just say I got like 3,000 gold or 3,000 rupees from this set. So I spent 20,000 rupees saved up from the initial set. And if you notice on my card packs, I spent a decent amount. I spent up to 97 lucky chests on the first set. So I pulled a decent amount, and I'm not playing as much on this set, but I'm still a lot of gold behind on this new set compared to last set. So this means that, like, realistically, if I played consistently, like, just let's just do, okay, let me just keep being distracted by this. Let's do an insane high roll. Let's pretend that Legends Rise, all these 97 packs, I spent rupees on them. So that means I used around 50,000 gold in Legends Rise on packs. That is only 48, or that's only 50 games or 50 rounds of Take Two. 50 rounds of Take Two is probably the bare minimum I would need as a player to actually get good practice and good draft knowledge. So I am being forced to spend the equivalent of an entire set of rupees to improve to a point where I can be comfortably saying like, oh, I am good at drafting. And you can say, oh, just watch streamers. Like streamers, they'll explain everything, they'll like teach you how to play better. And sure, that's fine, but like if I'm playing a game, like I'm playing a game to have fun. This is not my job. This is not my career. I'm not playing Shadowverse 2 competitively. Why am I being forced to take the game super seriously to even have a chance to remotely learn drafting for this game? Like, at all. So, I am not an excellent drafter, but I should be at the very worst a mediocre, okay, slightly above average drafter because I do take a lot of time in crafting my own decks and watching streams for Constructed and understanding how interactions work. So, if I have to be like an extremely insanely good drafter to even go 55% win rate, that's not worth it because I'm still barely getting better income over than just playing normal Shadowverse. And if I want to play a lot of Shadowverse, I can't be playing Take Two because there's only a finite number of Take Two games I can play. Whereas Constructed, I can play forever. So I think side games failed. I think this patch is absolutely terrible. I think the constructed meta is bad. I think Take Two is even worse, which is super impressive because Take Two should not be worse due to the inherent randomness. And yeah, I'll see you guys in either the next set or never because this game is just not fun. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully some of you guys come back to watch me play some other games and yap up some other games, but Shadowverse, I think I've been broken by side games. I will just be playing Uma Musume from now on stream, if even. See you guys next time. Talk to you whenever, and have fun playing the game if you continue playing. Bye bye.